and we did quite a lot of things. We got in touch with hundreds of artists and common people, and this is the first step. This book is the first step of what is going to be a long research. And what we are doing now is just already planning a second book, which will talk about some other things. But in this one, you will find what is the media phenomenon. So what is well known now as music, artists, and the average of their age. You will find someone who is 16 years old, and then you will find someone who is 85 years old. And gives you the spectrum of what is being going on in the society, and what it was a phenomenon which was kept secret is become, in 50 years, something which now is able to be shown to everybody. But what is funny is becoming a full-time occupation and work and job for so many young people, musician, composer, dancer, and so on. So that's what's been going on.
Again, can everybody hear me? Right at the back? Just nod. Okay, we'll do our best. When the book was brought to me, and I started, and I do invite you to have a look through the pages of the book, which is really, really interesting. We were supposed to have a slideshow, and then we had a bit of a technical itch, so my apologies for that. But do have a look at the book. The first thing that I noticed from a technical point of view, from the point of view of the photographer, was the decision not to use the latest digital gadgets, but to shoot the entire book in an analog system. And I want to ask Tony to please explain why he made this artistic choice.
So, I was forced in a way by the events, because you have to pile up so much material and be able to look at it in a easy way and to deliver it to newspapers and publishers. So, in a way, I belong to photography time when I started. We used to do with film, analog, what we call traditional now, or analogical way to record an event. But in a way I had to change it, to update it myself as a professional. So we passed to the digital, and we have full signal, which is digital, and then we have the traditional one. This book has been rewarded by Nikon as the first Italian book in photography for using the technique plus the working tools, which in a way upgraded our skill, our knowledge, to the point that people can still please and watch and go through the books, feeling the old-fashioned way to print. And it took ages, anyway, to choose and go through. We collect for more than 12,000 pictures, and it was not easy to follow a way to tell the story, and we work as a team, and according to the alcohol interview, we managed to pull out what the pictures we need. It was not easy anyway. So.
What do you think of the difference in the depth of field that your choice gave the quality of your photographs in this book?
Well, we get very deep into something which can be very intimate, basically, because despite the fact that I'm working with one of the top gears in photography, I'm still in love with the old-fashioned way to do it. And to me, okay, I have to shout. Okay. So I had to cope with the habit of 30 years of old-fashioned way to take pictures, plus the new ways. It's easier, it's faster, you can double check straight away, and then you go back again to what it's supposed to be. But on the other hand, the choice and the technique on using the digital, to me, is strictly related to the knowledge and the technique you had before. So I've been using this camera as if it was a normal, old-fashioned way camera. And that's the philosophy which I have to restore the balance with updated and old-fashioned way to do it. Because after all, it's no, if you got the key of the Ferrari, it doesn't mean that you become a Schumacher. So it's the same, you can have the top gear camera, but if you don't know background about photography and the techniques, you're lost. You will never get what you're supposed to do. So that's my personal point of view anyway.
Could I ask the people on the floor, how many of you are photographers? How many of you are interested in photography? And do you still use your old cameras, or you're all gone to digital now? Digital. I would invite you to have a live through and then perhaps have a talk to Tony afterwards. I wanted to ask Emilia and Barbara, at what point you started working on the text? Was it during the process of taking the photographs? Was it before? And what sort of background work did you have to do? So how much was research, how much was inspiration, and how much was really wanting to put down something that belongs to you as your personal background?
33%. No, well, first of all, it was, for me, it was research. Because I come from a different area than Rome. I come from a different area of Puglia. Puglia is like a region 300 kilometers long. So you have all kinds of different cultures, also 5 kilometers away, in a way. So it's also a multifaceted region. See, for example, what they have in Salento, I don't know in my area. So when Tony asked me to join the team, first of all I thought, yeah, 1 month in my region. But it was away from home anyway. So, first I had to research, because I didn't know much about it. I heard of it. I went on holiday in Salento, and there I started to listen to this kind of music. It sounded very familiar to me, I have to say. Very, very familiar. Although I didn't understand our word. It's a different dialect. Completely. So first of all, research. Then passion, and really wanted to go back to these roots. But yes, I've got study a bit of history and everything else. Also the Italian situation is a bit strange anyway. We know, say, the national history, but we don't know our own history. So that's why I wanted to go back. And the first year, I have to say, we didn't do a lot of research, because we need to be completely, say, a clean slate to absorb all the experiences and everything else. So we went in and started interviewing all the artists that were there. Of course, a bit of research was done, because we have to individuate the researchers, the anthropologists, and so on and so forth.
Sorry to interject, but how many musicians did you get in touch with, and how many musicians take part in the festival?
Okay, this book covers 2 years, 2010 to 2011. In 2010-2011, there are at least 200 of them. And we interviewed 120, in the region of 120, 150, including also the foreign guests, because of course the festival, to find a way through and be kind of globalized, needs to mix and be contaminated with other musics. But as Professor says, there are many similarities between music. Say there is an underlying motive between them, even though you're from Africa and I'm from Puglia, or you're from Cuba, and so on and so forth. So yes, we couldn't do all of them. So I think this last 2 years we continued interviewing people, updating the info on the other artists, of course, the one that we interviewed, but we discovered a lot more, let's say.
And what was the most unexpected thing that was said to you? Was there a leitmotif? Was there something that something in common that they all had? But what was the thing that surprised you the most during this journey?
The fact that, yes, they are really, really connected to their roots, although what they said always, the word they said was contamination, and said our pizzica, which is music and dance.
That you're going to listen to later.
Yes, later on by Amatera. What they said is, we cannot express the same feelings as our, say, ancestors, because all the music that they have played, they have recreated, comes from people working in agriculture, with tobacco fields, and so on and so forth. So it's not the same. There's not the same drive. Of course, they don't suffer. They don't suffer and bend down on the soil to get the tomatoes or whatever, or the tobacco. They don't sweat anymore. They're all professionals. They've been to school. They can play fantastically. They are professional musicians. It's not the same feeling. So what they have to do is contamination. The second one is contamination, which is not disease, but it's in between musics. Pizzica's got a very simple rhythm, and you can read it in the book as well. There's an anthropologist that explains very well how this rhythm comes about. It's like a binary and a Persian rhythm, of course. There's a whole story on the tamburello, the frame drum, for example. So say the rhythm being binary kind of adapts to the other traditional, or say for example if you go on a website you're going to see it is www.Obiettivo Taranta.com. Sorry. you see an example of Afro blues, where there's Justin Adams and Jude Camara playing with the Salentinian musicians, and it's fantastic. There's a Japanese group as well, connecting a lullaby with their own music, which asks to ask miracles from above, let's say. So it's we have discovered a fantastic world, all 15 days.
So what was the thing that surprised you the most personally? Was there a moment when you thought, I haven't thought of that, or I feel different than I thought I would?
The thing that surprised me the most is I feel very similar to them. I feel this music is familiar. That's what I thought. What they are telling me is very similar to what my grandma told me, say for example. So it's the familiarity, even though say, we are 300 kilometers away. At the end of the day, the south of Italy, up to 150 years ago, more or less, was all there, let's say. So you have pizzica, which is not called Taranta because it's wise, it's not better. It's not better. You have, and also because Tarantella was strangely known before Taranta. So you have Tarantella, Taranta in Calabria, for example, which is the tip of Italy. You've got Tarantella as well. I mean, it's all a rhythm that reconnects to, say, Greek times, from Greek times on. And the other thing that surprised me was that they speak Greco, which is a language very similar to Greek. And now they are actually proposing it in schools since the festival started. Because it's a completely different world, say for example. A Greek person can understand Greco. So Greco connects also with some other places in Calabria, because they speak it there. Some other places in Campania.
In the Mediterranean.
Yes, the Mediterranean, that's it. So, how come? I think that it's so old, millennia old, and go on. It's a miracle, yes.
I wanted to ask Tony, we're talking about rhythm, we're talking about something that is driven by rhythm. How did that affect the way, or if it did, affect the way you took your photographs? Is there a rhythm to the taking of the portraits contained in the book? Were you aware of being driven by a rhythm and a pace different from when you do other photographic jobs?
Is in a way peculiar question. So I was born as a photographer professionally, as a reporter. So I was on the street most of the days, working for delivery to the newspapers for the next day. So I got used to be on the beat all the time, because I didn't have enough time to be on the pose, to be on the studio, to do still life photography. So what happened, basically, you learn a technique which is not taught anywhere. It's something which you learn to practice on daily basis. And what did happen when I followed the concept, which I built up in ages, in 18 years basically, because the Taranta time, 3 years, 4 years, is not enough to do what you have to do, or deliver what you need to deliver. It's something you build up. And this is the basic of my job. Then I had my relatives related to music. They used to be musicians, so I'm used to be into the noise, which is the music, and you get familiar to the way that you can spot or explore the situation when you shoot, and to get in touch with the artist on stage, to be part of them on the same show, because basically you can be on the front stage, backstage, to be on stage too, according to what is allowed you to do. Then it's like if you are performing with them, and if you've got the right tools and you've got the right knowledge how to use them and feel kind of empathy with the artist, then it becomes easy. At least for me, what was not hard to understand what was going on within them, but it was hard in a way physically to be there for 3-4 hours every night, holding kilos in 2 hands and make sure that I was able to do it properly, because an artist can be there for 20 minutes and then he goes away because the next band comes in, but you are the one who's going to be from the beginning till the end of the show, and that's been the real challenge. The rest is part of what you've been able to build in years, following different subjects, and all the experiences, they come all together when you have to deliver something. It's part of your, I don't know, to grow up with it. It's rather simple for me after 30 years. I don't know if someone is starting now, he has to be deeply motivated and never give up because it's a challenge. You never expect to see the same things again. The next evening or the next morning, whatever.
I hate to
So
distract you.
it's up to what you've been able to save as experiences which make the difference and help you to deliver what is supposed to be in something like a book or an article or whatever it is.
Thank you. What I really, really like in the book is that it is a fantastic photo book. But then you read the text and it is a fantastic book, full stop. There is so much to learn and to absorb from the text, and then you go back to the photograph and so you go back and forth. But I think there was an additional, perhaps, an additional challenge for the writers, because we have two writers. So what sort of challenges, if any, did you find by the sheer fact that you had to collaborate on the text?
Abbiamo collaborato molto bene, cioè io vengo dalla Puglia, quando cominciare a sposare si
And then it translates. Emilia started by saying that they worked really well together. She comes from Puglie too.
Da un'altra città che non è né la città di Barbara né la città di Roma, è un'altra città della Puglia. E conoscevo il festival della Taranta soltanto come spettatrice.
And she comes from yet another town in Puglia, different from Tony, different from Barbara. And she knew of the festival, but just as a punter.
Quando sono stata contattata da Tony e quando mi ha chiesto il gruppo mi ha messa a parte del progetto, l'ho accettato subito, perché comunque era una cosa insomma interessante. E ci siamo trovati tutto benissimo come gruppo. Nel 2010 eravamo in 4, c'era una ragazza giapponese insieme a noi.
And when Tony contacted Emilia, they got together and they really, really gelled immediately. There was a fourth member of the group in 2010, a Japanese lady.
Mentre negli ultimi 2 anni, 2011-2012, siamo stati soltanto noi. Il primo anno mi sono occupata soprattutto dei problemi grafici che comunque servivano alla gestione quotidiana di quello che è il nostro lavoro.
But for the past 2 years, this has been the work group. And Emilia, to start with, took care of practical matters. And as anybody who worked on any sort of endeavor knows, the practical side of things is what drives it along.
Abbiamo seguito tutte le tappe del festival, serata per serata, senza stancarci mai, facendo finta di non stancarci.
They went to every single concert of the festival, never getting tired or not wanting to get tired ever.
E il vero lavoro poi è iniziato dopo, diciamo, quando abbiamo dovuto mettere giù le interviste, tagliarle per le esigenze editoriali, rimarle, vedere cosa sarebbe stato utile a supporto delle immagini, cosa invece poteva essere tagliato fuori.
Obviously, the real work starts afterwards, when after you've done all the interviews, you have to see how they work in synergy with the photographs, what you have to keep in, what you can leave out, what really works in support of one or the other.
Se avessimo voluto trascrivere tutto il materiale raccolto sarebbe da fare un'enciclopedia. Ecco perché comunque pensiamo di conservarlo.
Had they been to transcribe all the interviews they gathered, they would have come out with the Encyclopedia of Taranta. And you never know what's going to happen, but certainly they realise that they've got enough material to go on with this endeavour.
Il gruppo funziona e così continueremo, insomma, speriamo.
This group really works, so they'll go on and see what comes out of it. In that case, I wanted to ask Tony what the text give the photographs, and then I'm going to ask Barbara the reverse question.
Well, is a funny way. And when I was working every evening, I never really got in touch with them. They had to work and chasing the artists backstage, and in the meantime I was on the front stage. So we knew we were dealing with the same people, but in different ways. So the funny thing was to put together my work with what they were able to collect as interviews. And in a way they made each other, the picture and the interview. But it's a bit tricky because you can be played according with what you need. What we try to do is to give a delivery which doesn't really show much about the differences between words and who the artists are really doing when they are on stage. But they can perform, but there are things which you can see in the picture which no words can describe. And that's a real pleasure for us, at least for myself, to be able not to have a chance to talk with them, but to be able to catch their own inner feelings, which is a gift when you do it. You can really enjoy when you are taking pictures and see afterwards and say, that's what I wanted, I got it. And that gives you the energy. That's make me feel to love this, my job, even more.
And Barbara will be the last answer, and then we'll go on to our music. And do bear in mind that you can buy the book if you like. There's a 5% discount if you buy it now. And I thank you all beforehand for having come here. Really, really nice to see a lot of faces here. And we're going to listen to what Barbara has to say about it.
It's completely true, actually, because I mean, after we were interviewing, and then he actually called us, come here, every night during the gigs. Come here, look at this. Wow, look at this. Was this the person I was talking to before? Yes. Yes, because of course their environment is really the stage. When you talk to them, they're kind of shy. They're very shy, and of course, when we started, they started traveling around the world. They hadn't started yet traveling. So they were a bit weird with me. especially you know, historical singers, let's say, the few old guys that were left there. So why are you doing this interview to me? Why do you want to know about this? Before actually interviewing me. So it was more like a conversation and everything else. But definitely, I mean, when you see the pictures in the book, you will see, and then you go to the festival. Probably you would prefer the book, honestly. No, honestly, in terms of pictures, fantastic. I remember the night when this was shot. Yes, I do. And I interviewed her, so actually, no, that night actually was the first time we met. And I tried to interview her, but she ran away. I only interviewed the front man of the group. And then he showed me, and I said, who's this? I said, oh, I see that. Oh, right. So, excellent. It's a great experience. You have to write a book.
So, I'm going to bring the spoken part of the evening to a close. Again, thank you for coming. I'm sure that Tony, Barbara and Emilia will be happy to answer your questions if you want to talk to them. But now we're going to clear the stage for our music concert. Thank you again very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Marta,